Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no what I need. Bring out the ham. When I taste good salt fast. Bring out the ham. If then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Well, I size up the mistress, I see pity in she eye. The girl was in distress to say no mama die. And the true joy of Christmas was then revealed to me. My generous team made this lonely girl happy. Just got gone by his mother and left she in a jam. Look, she belly and she hand. Neighbor, kiss she piece of ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. All she wants to do is eat. Bring out the ham. She don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When she tastes good salt fast. Bring out the ham. If then she don't feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Oy, 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 oy. Ay, 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 ay. Oy, 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 oy. Ay, 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 ay. Oy, 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 oy. It was early Christmas morning, I was lying in my bed. When I hear her calling, it was neighbor Mildred. She come over early, say time to have the fete. Please don't say I'm greedy, but I ain't eat food yet. My husband gone by his mother and left me in a jam. Look, my belly in my hand. Neighbor, give me a piece of ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When I taste good salt fast. Bring out the ham. If then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Christmas time is trouble if you try to hide the meat. So rest it on the table, let the neighbor get to eat. We fetting all day and it's for all night. A little piece of ham bound to make the stomach right. My husband gone by his mother and left me in a jam. Look, my belly in my hand. Give me a piece of ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When I taste good salt fast. Bring out the ham. It's then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, bring out the ham. Neighbor, Neighbor, oh, yo, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no what I need. Bring out the ham. When I taste good so Rufus. Bring out the ham. If then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh, yo, yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 bring out the ham. Well, I size up the mistress, I see pity in she eye. The girl was in distress, to say no mama die. And the true joy of Christmas was then revealed to me. My generosity made this lonely girl happy. Just was gone by his mother and left she in a jam. Look, she belly in she hand, neighbor kiss she piece of ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. All she want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. She don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When she tastes good so Rufus. Bring out the ham. If then she does feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Oh yo 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 yo. Ay 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 ay. Oh yo 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 yo. Ay 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 ay. Oh yo 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 yo.
So much work to do. I'm sorry for Santa. He getting down in age. He had a companion, and he know the best woman from the Caribbean. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife.
But of course,
He wants a Caribbean woman.
if you want to call it that,
He loves soca and para.
will come.
He
And
loves
bring it
reggae and reggae.
with the joy.
And he learning to be bold. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife from the Caribbean.
Full experience of the Rowley PNM administration when 2025 comes. So 2024 should be a mere comfort, and that the 2025 is at hand. That is how we should be, of course, looking at it. That is my perspective.
Santa passed through Jamaica. He passed through Antigua. He passed through St. Lucia. Then he went to Grenada. In Trinidad and Tobago. Santa confused us so much a nice woman throughout the Caribbean. Santa looking for a wife. 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 Santa won't callaloo with flying fish and cuckoo. Ella with big tail so tasty, but all he want is swimming from roti.
Just in case you didn't hear me earlier, I'm simply saying that 2024 is at hand. But in a twinkle of an eye, 2025 will come. And therefore redemption, relief, and of course, expectations, great expectations. In the meantime, the cultural experiences will necessitate that we, of course, make use of the present time, and that is the Christmas time. So Let us continue to do so.
Sorry for Santa, he getting down in age and he want a helper, so he looking for a wife, the ideal companion, and he know the best woman from the Caribbean. Oh, oh, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife. He want a Caribbean woman, he loves soca and para.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. It is, yes, the corridor transformation. I thought I should get an extended, of course, appreciation of the Christmassy feeling. And, of course, I know you at home, of course, not just, I cannot say winding down, maybe winding down to get ready for tomorrow, but certainly expectations because, of course, the day itself is yet to arrive, and therefore all of the hustle and the bustle, the dulcet sounding music, and of course the aromatic, should I say, olfactory enticement. I mean, it is just spectacular and fantastic. This is, of course, Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. Christmas, we of course enjoy ourselves, but this particular one is significant, and therefore there is a requirement to be not only skeptical, not only be a penny pincher, not only be frugal, but it requires a rational and of course very objective, but certainly responsible and responsibility for all and sundry, because of the dangers that lurks and lie ahead, having regard to the policies and programs of this administration, that it is like throwing pearls to swine when Rowley and his government would have gotten $10 billion in reserves, over $5 billion in the Heritage and Civilization Fund, and additional $5 billion in, of course, excess liquidities in the banks to, of course, encourage entrepreneurship and business so that they can expand the economy. What we have seen is the bizarre and the most unrelenting and brutal attack on our financial resources, so that today they are ashamed and they are reluctant to tell us that the reserve is now less than $5 billion. They're ashamed to tell us that. They are telling us, of course, with the acquiescent, with the agreement of the central bank governor, who has turned out to be, of course, a PNM, what I consider to be earthworm. He can burst in different places, but at the end of the day, mend in favor of the PNM. And therefore, that level of integrity and the purpose of the central bank, but the functionality of the governor of the bank itself. And therefore, we must take no solace when they say it is 6 billion. Having met 10 billion, you know, they never tell you, they never mention that they met 10 billion, always where it is. Never tell us that. And when they have to tell us that they have taken out of the Heritage and Civilization Fund, not in a bold and bravado and, of course, attempted to tell us that it is about expanding the economy, providing jobs, and, of course, making sure that public servants get their monies, and, of course, those persons who are on social welfare, that, of course, that is not a privilege, but a... You are getting it on the behest of Rowley, this rapscallion, totally out of control and totally obnoxious and disrespectful. You met it so, and that there's a reason for it. When, of course, you have a Ministry of Social Development, there has been that from time immemorial, because the society recognized not Rowley, not he and his miscreants and cohorts, who want to tell us that he is doing us a favor when we go and apply for our senior citizen pension, when people go and apply for disability grant, when people go and apply for a school assistance grant, when people go and apply for a cerebral palsy, a children's assistance, when people go and apply for, of course, not being able to function in the normal way in the workforce because of some hearing impairment or some speech impairment or some sight impairment, and you take the opportunity as a citizen to go to the Ministry of Social Development. Rowley and they have, of course, coined it and shifted it and misrepresented it and saying that somehow they are doing us a favor. And why am I saying that? And why can I say that? And what is the evidence? Well, the evidence is this. It is too damn awful that when Rowley faced, of course, with his mismanagement reality, he then tells us that, listen, he has not, of course, fired any what he considered to be gazetted public servant. Just imagine that. And then he goes on to say that they continue, of course, and give us numbers as well as to how much people are on welfare, and of course suggesting that he is the bearer of bad news, and that somehow that system that he met there and for which the population is entitled, he is trying to tell us that because of his presence, he has reconfigured, or should I say disfigured, the laudable and the credible and the humanitarian and the altruistic and the philanthropical nature of a society like ours, where we are our brother's keeper. And here it is, Rowley will take the Ministry of Education, take the hell out of the blasted people, place under their faces. Come on, we have to make these fellas know that we are no fools. He is attempting, of course, to tell us that somehow we should be grateful that public servants are getting their pay. If you cannot provide the pay, get the hell out. If you cannot provide the sustainable sliced bread, and that you come here after, of course, the 2015 elections, and of course during the campaign, and tell us that by the 8th of September, the elections would have been the 7th of September in 2015. If you voted for the UNC, you would be making a mortal mistake, a devastating mistake, and therefore, he, Rowley, is the alternative and the demand to, of course, do more with less, all kinds of hogwash, all kinds of impossibility, all kinds of shenanigans, and of course attempting to hoodwink and to deceive and to lie into government. And now that you're in government, you telling the people and them that somehow he, Rowley, and his minions and his crooks are doing us a favor by, of course, accommodating those persons who have applied as citizens and getting assistance through social development, getting assistance through, of course, other mechanisms of state, but more devastatingly foolish, dotish, and arrogant is that telling public servants that they're lucky they still have a job. They're lucky they still have a job. That's what he's saying. A totally unqualified individual, clearly coming out from the university or wherever he came from, and suddenly recognizing with long eyes the treasury is accessible to a prime minister. And let me tell you this is idiosyncratic of the PNM, you know. I will give you a story now, a very rare. I will of course share that, but I think it is important. because there's a pattern of behavior, and I'm using that west right up the corridor. The PNM must lose all of those seats, including, of course, the Laventilles. Laventilles, you have a destiny. You have a date with destiny. And if it is that you continue, of course, to play the fool and to, of course, commit suicide over and over, because somebody tell you that you must just stay with them, and of course, generate the lies that, of course, I'm sure, would recognize them or these lies for what they are. They are lies. And and if they talk about lies, them Indian people and them straight here people and so on, to hoodwink you, for them to stay there in order to do you evil. I tell you, Laventille and all of these so-called safe seats for the PNM must no longer be safe. We have a revolution, a destiny with a revolution, a political revolution, a paradigm shift that we ourselves as a community, as individuals, as families, and to, of course, make certain that we can make our contribution not only to the society and the nation, but certainly to our children and our children's children. They are killing us. They are killing us, and they will continue so to do if you do not make the right decision. All of you 18 years and above, you will be, of course, saddled with the indictment, having not, of course, done what you were supposed to do to save future generations. But then you will feel the wrath of those very generations that you fail, of course, to protect by your vote come 2025. Come 2025. Very important. So I say that Rowley must lose his seat in the Martin West, and Imbert and all the rest of them come right up the corridor because they have worked hard for it. Rowley and they has worked hard for us to get rid of them, because you cannot tell me and take us for granted. I heard Heinz the other day boastfully that in spite of the difficulty, the agony, the pain, the crime, the criminality, the increase in murders, anybody could get, of course, their life shortened anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's Port of Spain, San Fernando, Arima, Point Fortin, anywhere you could get your life shortened. And this rapscallion, this nincompoop, this Rastafarian Pomsite dread is telling the population that people in Laventille will still vote in spite of the evil, in spite of their challenges, in spite of their decadence, in spite of their squalor, in spite of their economic pauperity. I mean, it is unbelievable that they will still, of course, do the unbelief that approach, that belligerent approach, that aggressive approach, that insulting approach will, of course, keep them in office. I say to them, that and a pink donkey, one day, Kongote, and what in meet you in pass you, and because they failed to recognize that it met them in 1986 when the PNM was decimated to the tree, and Laventille still did not take on the responsibility of leading the nation, leading the politics, leading the PNM in terms of their rightful place, having, of course, stood with the PNM in the time of need when they were totally, of course, decimated and ought to have been extinct after the 1986 elections. Laventille stayed with them, and today, the level of betrayal, and I cannot overemphasize the disrespect paid to desperados and the platitudes and the vacuous statements that has emanated from the Prime Minister saying that where they are, yes, indeed, that of course visitors, tourists will come on Nelson Street and see them and watch them play, etc. That is the level of hogwash a Prime Minister will deliver to a place that requires and of necessity gingerly and meticulous and very sensitive handling in order for it to revert or at least come in line with what is expected of not only individuals or families but the entire society, instead of the so-called police accolade, the police appellation, the police pseudonym, and that is that the place is a crime hotspot and therefore people must stay away from, as indeed the government of the United States, the government of Canada, the government of Great Britain, the government of France, the government of Germany have told their residents, their citizens, don't come Trinidad, but if you have to come, stay away from Laventille, stay away from Nelson Street. And Rowley put Desperados, arguably the best band in the world, steel band, to, of course, find its final destiny to the point of extinction, taking to its natural consequence by putting them on Nelson Street. Come on. But of course, there are some things that I told you we want to, of course, complete, and that is that of the arrangement or the consequence of that meeting in St. Vincent. But before we go there, it is not by accident I am talking about, of course, the constituencies along the East-West corridor and identify specific constituencies because the PNM must be taught a lesson. The PNM must get a shockwave. And the PNM must understand that they cannot deliver evil. When, of course, people would have reposed their reliance under their respect, under their commitment, under their loyalty to you, and then you betray it in that way. Ablum, without conscience, unconscionably. And I say that must come to an end, and therefore the revolution must now start. The revolution must now start. I believe in the Laventille question, and I've always said that if the Laventille question is addressed, then of course crime and criminality, not only that will solve in Trinidad and Tobago, but also the economic ambitions and the entrepreneurship spirit and the developmental agenda that we must, of course, carve for ourselves, having regard to globalization and having regard, of course, to climate change and the threat that it poses to, of course, our foreign exchange, oil, gas, and petrochemicals, and therefore we have to act with alacrity. We have to act with speed and with, of course, a high degree of immediacy. I'm seeing, of course, some blurring coming off. I assume it's from the camera, but I will continue in the meantime because I may have to pause to make some adjustments. But I trust that that has not occurred so long that, of course, it has frustrated, of course, those of you who would like to get not only a professional, but, of course, a quality delivery as we strive so to do on this particular live on a nightly basis, except, of course, for Friday. So that being as it may, let me just tell you, because we have to look at the question of crime and criminality, and we have to look at what is in stock, what is in the offerings of this administration, and where can we look for success stories and for superior projects and initiatives that will bring the sustainable delivery that is necessary, is an imperative at this time in Trinidad and Tobago. Clearly, Rowley and they cannot make the grade. That is for sure. And therefore, I say to you that the party that is waiting, not in the wings, not on the bench, they did well, exceedingly well, only in 5 years between 2010 and 2015, and therefore they must be returned to office. And Kamla Persad-Bissessar, clearly the head of that initiative back in 2010, must be, of course, be considered seriously. Yes, indeed. The UNC is the answer. Yes, indeed, the UNC is the answer. No doubt, the UNC is the answer. So I thought it was important, but there's another development as well, because I saw people trying, of course, to not, I wouldn't use the word mockery is too strong of a word, but in local parlance, mamagai, and to, of course, comment not so positively about her Christmas, her blue Christmas garment that she wore to the UNC dinner. I say to her, she looked resplendent. And the fact that she chose blue, everybody knows in Trinidad and Tobago that blue runs evil, and therefore the choice of blue was to run the PNM out of town, run them out of office, and let them know she may have done that unconsciously, but the shrewd and the eruditic politician that Kamla Persad-Bissessar has grown to be, no one can doubt, or no one will put out of their minds that it was deliberate to show those people that they are blight, and therefore blue will run them out of town. Let us look at it at this point in time. Look at it, blue. That is Kamla Persad-Bissessar in her blue outfit. And of course, it's all resplendent and glowing. And then, of course, as if a blue of clouds she is standing on. But very significant, she also had her toes in a footwear where you can observe the toes. And I thought this was important, of course, for those sycophants who, of course, was wishing the worst for the political leader of the UNC and the prime minister in waiting, inevitably in 2025, consequential of the elections to be. Yes, indeed. And I want to show you, of course, I was able to, of course, take a snap of her toes as well in the video that you are seeing unfolding. But let me just move the notice that UNC is the answer. But let me just move that notice so you will see her toes. It's important that you see her toes because the PNM was on a propaganda overdrive when they were saying that she was, of course, that she was hospitalized and in a state where 3 of her toes, they even come up with that as well, 3 of her toes were amputated. I don't know how they came up with it, but let us look at it ourselves. Let me just get that going. Yes, indeed. Let's move that. Let's move that and see her toes. There it is. Her toes are there. All what? All 10. All 10. Yes. So I thought it was important to have a snapshot separated apart to let everybody know, all the sycophants, only Rowley and they would want, of course, to project such a thing so as to, in a most bizarre and illogical way. But of course, they seem to revel in not only wishing, but also acting, actively creating, manufacturing evil scenarios and situations to create the illusion that their political opponents, their main political opponent, the only political opponent to the PNM, and the only party to wrestle from the PNM, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, via the electoral process, is Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. So I thought it was important, of course, to show blue, run them out. Blue, run them out. Because in Laventille and, of course, in the Baptist community, I myself being a practicing Baptist, I know about blue and the function. Maybe I may call Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke to deity, and in terms, of course, the rituals, and in terms, of course, getting rid of evil spirits and evil individuals. Not the coquille broom that, of course, Camille Robinson reaches from time to time, will mock the spiritual shouter Baptists with, and pretending, of course, that somehow that will give them political traction. They are political cobos, and they will, of course, defy, and they will engage even, of course, in bigotry, the disrespecting of people's religion. We saw it, of course, with Rowley when he was playing, of course, the Riddler in Batman on one, of course, of the previous holidays of the spiritual shouter Baptists. We saw him, of course, sleeping in a mosque because, of course, he, prior to that, was under the offensive, attacked, of course, the Muslim community and accused them of trying to generate disruption or upheaval several carnivals ago. And then, say here and put water in my mouth to talk, and to, of course, not highlighted to you the iniquities, the evil, the unlimited inability to manage the affairs of the country, and then pretending to us as though they have some kind of devilish right to impose themselves on the people, and then, of course, seek government to do us evil. And it may be that evil is not the intent. Well, if it is not evil, then it's incompetence. And any one of them connected to characteristic of any one of them, or characterizes any one of them, it means, therefore, they ought not to be in government. So whether you defend them in terms of not being evil, or you defend them in an attempt, of course, to show that they are performing and acting as government, we see that they have failed on all scores. And therefore, it is crucial and important that we look. I'm trying to get at the same time, of course, the sleeping episode in the by Dr. Rowley, in the presence, of course, of the congregation, the Muslim congregation, who is sort of mama guy, but you can't. He will strike you down and he will embarrass you. I want to extend my apology to, of course, those of you who are on Facebook and you are not seeing the live. I too was wondering why. I just saw that there was a process that was incomplete. So anxious was I to show, of course, Kamla Persad-Bissessar's blue and the happy riddance of the PNM in such circumstances. So you will forgive me. You will get, of course, a connection momentarily. But the fact of the matter is that we have been subjected to the most bizarre, the most incompetent, the most wicked, the most dangerous, and the most self-serving administration ever in this country. And of course, notwithstanding everything they touch seem to be subjected to destruction. I'm trying to get, of course, that particular. Yes, I got it. Let us look at Rowley and of course his cohort, Hines, who of course will do anything to be where he is, even of course being given, of course, the position of youth officer. 60 years of age, and Rowley tell him hold on to the youth officer position. You understand why these people are dinosaurs? You understand why Rowley took away the laptops from our children? You understand that? You understand why he would prefer to build and to reminisce on the colonial days by repairing those so-called Magnificent Seven. A symbol of being dominated by our colonial masters who constructed those buildings, and he preferred to spend money on that than, of course, to spend on our children and their books and their textbooks, etc. Let us see. That was supposed to be there. Why am I not getting it? Let me see. Yes, it's there. It's there. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I see what is happening. All right, let me take off Kamla Persad-Bissessar for a while, and then of course that will be exposed, because the way how it was set up. That particular video or that particular set of pictures would be of course behind that of Kamla Persad-Bissessar. So let's expose it now. Look at him. Look at them sleeping. Sleeping on the job. Totally abusing, of course, and engaged in, of course, in this macabre and, of course, unsavory abuse of evils and disrespect of people's religion. Watch them. So I thought it was important, of course, to let you know that we have a duty, because we have a destiny with history, that Rowley must lose his seat in Degomartin West. We know that there are those who will have residual sympathy for the PNM, but you must see the PNM as a Rowley dominance, a Rowley imposition, a Rowley pirating, and of course totally and absolutely never had the interests of you in the Degomartin West interests Because it was he who said when Kamla Persad-Bissessar was given, of course, the same food card that they attempting, of course, to mamaga you with all over the place today. He said not to take it. He ain't taking it, but replaced it with nothing because he somehow believed he is a demi-devil, and believe that somehow that will give him the political traction. But they have to end up stealing elections. That is what. Yes, indeed, people. I wanted you, of course, to take a good look. A beautiful woman, dressed for the occasion. Christmas elf, but all in blue. Rowley, your ass dark. And, of course, your day for demitting office is inevitable. It's inevitable. I'm feeling to leave it up for the night because it's so picturesque. It's so soothing. It is so welcoming and warm. And those who criticize, eat your heart out. Eat your heart out. Yes, indeed. Eat your heart out. Of course, don't forget, people, the number to call 337-6940. 337-6940, and don't forget, if you want to assist us, well, of course, that number to call us at get my assistance is 336-6594, 336-6594. We will take, of course, we always have work to do, and therefore, whether it be considered extracurricular or a substantive, people are really desperate people, and they are in need of assistance. The extent to which we can do it is the extent to which you can assist. Of course, we will put our own resources as well as we have, of course, in this live every night, except Fridays, in order, of course, to bring the information to you. So, as I said, I think the Facebook feed is up and running. Sorry about that. Let me just make sure. Yes, it is. The Facebook feed is up and running. My apology to all Facebook preferred viewers. I want to say my apology, but I don't think you have missed much because I was emphasizing and focusing on the congeniality and the beauty and the essence of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and of course how she has grown and blossomed into, of course, a very mature diamond. The diamond of politics in Trinidad and Tobago, because I will not put it beyond her that she wore a blue dress to show that blue is to get rid of the blight, the curse that is, of course, Rowley. And of course, I thought it was important as well because she wore sandals that would have exposed all of her toes. So, of course, I inserted into the video a portion where you can see her toes, all 10 toes, even though PNM sycophants and their propaganda machinery, of course, their talk show hoax, and they were saying something different, that she lost 3 toes, etc., etc., etc. And that tells me, including, of course, those persons who claim to be UNC sympathy, as they will not want to wait for their turn or wait for the next person, because just as Rowley, Kamala will not be there to turn stone. She has to give up the reins at some point in time. Well, wait now. especially those within. But they know that Rowley and their cocktail is sure that they don't want, of course, to have Kamla there because of her objectivity and the fact that a different government altogether, a different party altogether, a different philosophy altogether. In the case of, for example, the distribution of political appointments, for example, on the question of boards and the chairman and, of course, directors, guess what? Nobody could be on more than one board. In the case of Rowley, not only has he given to Imsbert, the Dwen, every time he leaves office, prime ministerial acting position. Kamla Persad-Bissessar gave all those who came up to the standard a process where you can do not only success in terms of their resume, and if, of course, the opportunity presents itself, the person can say that, listen, I acted as prime minister in this country. What a beautiful gesture. What a refreshing difference from the old and hackneyed and the PNM, that is, that concentrates power in the hands of a few within the party, and then, of course, concentrate power in a extended way, but for those who are in the outer circle, and then, of course, the other circle, you have, of course, until you reach the rank and file, who will get maybe URP and CPEP and so on, and, of course, all kinds of excuses, but they're living in the same squalor. They have not advanced themselves, but their job is, of course, to keep the community quiet and to, of course, use it as keep it as a voter bank for the PSA. I say to all of Laventille, I say all of the Martin, East Port of Spain, Bitam, Silats, of course, Tonapuna, we have, of course, Arima, and we can go on and on. All of you, Malabar, may be acquainted with them because over the years you would have developed a relationship to those, what I consider to be sycophants, and those representatives, those pernicious and poisonous tentacles that Balize House see in these people to come and gaslight you and because things are going to be better. Well, boy, Rowley has been telling us that for the past 8 years. 8 years. While, of course, handsome amount of monies have passed through their hands like truckloads of salts, and we have not seen any sight or any sign of that improvement or the amelioration or that utopia that Rowley promised. And he continues, of course, to bamboozle and to hoodwink and to deceive and to mamagai no longer. People, of course, as I said, the number, I think, is up and running. And at 337-6940, 337-6940, do it now. My apology, of course, to those who would have been on Facebook. And I omitted, of course, to activate a particular process so that we can get on that platform. Because, as you know, we are on YouTube. Our viewers who have been loyal, who were the first, of course, to join the corridor transformation and be loyal every night. Of course, I'm still trying my best to see whether or not we can identify those persons at the end of the program. You know, I normally would do that. And, of course, acknowledging those persons who are on the live. As I said, it's just a matter of time. But we have some serious matters to look at moving into next year. Of course, next week, we will look at these futuristic or future endeavors that the corridor transformation would want to do. That being as it may, and having regard, of course, to Dr. Rowley's deafening silence on the question of crime and criminality, I want to tell you that I will be making a presentation to the UNC when they start, of course, their crime talks with the country, with stakeholders, because Rowley and they clearly, I am satisfied, have not been interested, because I have with me voluminous document, 1,000-page document. I'm going to read from some. Yes, of course, tomorrow night we will continue with the Maduro matter, because I think crime and criminality of our young people needs to be addressed. And of course, since Kamla Persad-Bissessar said that she will engage, activate the community in order, of course, and the community, I mean the national community, to treat with crime and criminality, I thought we should, of course, on this program, lead the charge, and of course, demonstrate our capacity and ability not only to meet the challenge, but to, of course, give some of our experiences that can, of course, not only alleviate, but also, of course, do that on a sustained basis. Sustainability is the name of the game. Let me, of course, show you this document. This is too voluminous to put up on the screen, the computer memory, so I'll have to show it to you and read probably some excerpts. I'll try, of course, some excerpts. I'll try photocopied and, of course, convert it electronically, so it could be in a PDF form, so that it will take up less memory, less space, but nonetheless it will, because it's 1,000 pages we are talking about here. But this document, for example, it is I would say a compendium of different issues, each document in itself being a module for, of course, addressing crime and criminality, but in particular in the focusing on the Laventille and environs community. So this document, for example, is entitled, let me just raise it so you can see, the back of it. If it is green, it will have a little problem because we have a green screen in the back of me. But of course, it is entitled, and of course, it was authored by the Laventille for Laventillian Transformation Program. This is what it is called. And of course, it was authored by Laventille for Laventillian. Of course, I founded that organization as well, including, of course, the MLIO, which, of course, is the training component. But this is about looking at the multiple other socio-economic and psycho-cultural realities and elements of that area, so as to respond, not just respond, but respond timely and in real time, because so many people could lose their lives, or so many people could lose opportunities if we are not timely in the intervention. Of course, we see that Rowley and they are lost totally in the wilderness. They have, of course, given up, because we have played it here where Rowley said that he's losing the war on crime, but he continues, of course, to talk a bunch of hogwash like crime is a public health, maybe a cliche to hold on to power, hold on for a little longer by mamagaing us, and of course we will be tolerant, not complacent, but tolerant. And then, of course, he will go on to another, like the parents are responsible, and then he will say the churches are responsible, and then he will talk about the all of government approach, and then he will talk of what, as Heinz is talking now, about our all of society approach, all these kinds of cliche that they bring in order for one reason, to stay in government. And I am not talking Vike irresponsibly or otherwise, you know. I want to tell you that I am talking here out of personal experience. And that is why I am satisfied that nobody, whether it be a woman like Penelope Beckles or anybody else, the attitude and the conduct and the DNA that has been irretrievably sown into them will not allow them to be able to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. It's always some skullduggery. and it's always an attempt to of course, emasculate and to garner and to so that they can ride roughshod on the people and promote who they prefer rather, and with an eclectic disposition, meaning that they would, of course, choose those who could do no wrong. We saw it, of course, with A.V. Drilling. We saw it before that, of course, with the former chairman of Petrotrin. Over billions of dollars in waste investment, and Rowley simply take the man matter out of court after the UNC took him to court. That is the nature. It is not a cult, but it is a criminal enterprise. Understand that. A criminal enterprise. Nobody will die for any one of them. So not like Jim Jones in Guyana. No, but they will for 30 pieces of silver compromise and the institution to which they are attached as well are talking about those satellites and those sycophants and those spokespersons and those so-called activists for evil promoted and of course nurtured by the PNM. So this document is entitled Laventille for Laventillians Transformation Program. And as I said, it was designed in such a way that it could be replicated in other communities that has a similar experience like that of Laventille. But this, of course, is a Laventille initiative because we thought that if we address the Laventille question, we address the problem of crime, criminality, of course, youth delinquency, violence, and of course, youth pregnancy, children making children, of course, the single parent phenomenon that has, of course, a supervisory deficiency element within it, that as a consequence in totality have led our children to, of course, to their own devices, and as a consequence generated the kind of havoc, the kind of pain, the kind of ache, the kind of agony that is Trinidad and Tobago today. But let me just, of course, say to you that, of course, it looks at a number of issues. There is a sub-theme or sub-themes in this document. And of course, it has costs in it as well. It has cost estimates. And it's 83 pages, this document. And so the people of Laventille understand what they are up against, those of us who are conscious, and decided to put pen to paper and to address the problem. The problem is, however, that you have a PNM who is so damn insensitive and who see them as a vote bank that they will never consider. Let me see if I can get that online. Wow, why that is happening? Caller, call back. Let me see. What's happening here? All right, let me see if I'm getting it. Caller, please call back. I'm seeing what? I'm not seeing the phone on the system. Let me just get that. You know, every day is not Sunday, as indeed every day is not Monday. And sometimes, of course, you flounder a bit. Let me just get this call. Let me just get this call quickly. This call, let's call him back quickly, boy. Let me see. Where is it? I'm not seeing the app. Yes, caller, I know. I'm not seeing the app. What's going on there? Just a minute. I'm not seeing the app. Let me see. I'm not seeing that app. I am not seeing that app on the system. For the phone. I wonder why. Let me just do another search and see. Just how people, let me just do a search and see what's happening there. Let me just do a search and see. There, I'm not seeing the app that transfer it to us here in studio. Something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong, people. That being as it may, of course, we have to. The job has to continue. The job has to continue. I'm not seeing it, people. I'm not seeing the app. My apology. I don't know what has transpired there. Let me go on the next system and see if I can be of assistance or if it can be of assistance. All right, I'm seeing something here. Oh, all right. That one is telling me that I have to, of course, reconfigure. So, my apology. Sorry about that. There's something I'll have to do in order to treat with that, and the technicians will have to treat with that. My apology. Sorry for asking you to, of course, call in. Not realizing that the phone is not functioning as it ought to. Oh, I think I know what happened. I know what happened today. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. I took off some information off my phone through the computer, and it appears that I erased the app itself. So my apology. You know, when you don't know and you tell yourself you're doing something good, some other problem pops up. So sorry about that, people. But of course, we'll have to do without, of course, the phone tonight. Sorry about that. But of course, I know that you are raring to go. But the substantive matter that I said I will talk about last night, the question of Maduro and that meeting, and that of Ralph Gonzalez, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, and of course the President of Guyana. Well, of course, I don't think I'll have time because when I finish with this, but there's an opportunity, of course, to let you know that, yes, and I will be actively involved in that discussion in whatever format it takes, whether it's a seminar, workshop, or whether it be, of course, a general meeting, whether the form of presentation and so on, as I have done, of course, to the Manning administration, when, of course, I was asked to make a PowerPoint presentation on the question of crime and criminality in Laventille, and certain initiatives were promised to be taken. And of course, the government went out, the Manning administration went out of office, and it was Martin Joseph was the national security minister then. So, so we will look at that. We will look at that eventually. But let me just tell you, of course, that this one is entitled, of course, as I said, having several subtitles as well. On using the empowerment zone concept. Let me just read it is tremendous reading, people. A lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of work on the ground to, of course, produce a document like this, over 83 pages, large, and of course you will see certain graphs and so on that is there. Let me just read for you one of the graphs. It says the basic needs issues, and then of course it goes down with a number of needs and issues. Of course, land and property, for example, ownership, land and property ownership. Of course, improve earning capacity to make ends meet. Average of $6,000 a monthly. Of course, we were saying that the average person should at least work for $6,000 monthly. That is seemed to be a fair wage for a decent standard of living in that area. And then of course it continues with, of course, improvement to existing home. We have, of course, an effective and efficient garbage disposal regime. So garbage disposal, very important as well. And then of course, under the heading or the rubric of employment, we have, of course, construction in industry, private and public, home, and then of course we have infrastructure development for the same areas, get a lot of work for the people, but it improves the infrastructure at the same time. Social delivery, shelters, construction and administration. We also have, of course, a micro and a small business development and aggressive entrepreneurial community initiative, making them businesses so they don't have to depend on government or next person to, of course, give them an employment, but they themselves, and that will boost their pride and dignity and self-worth and, of course, ability to say that I am an independent person. That is what we are talking about. This is in this document, yes. Of course, we continue, of course, government departments. So we look at government departments to provide, of course, sustainable, secure employment at all levels, because we have seen in the hospitals, for example, they need orderly and so on. They don't have to come in at the highest level, doctor and administrator and so on, but certainly in terms of the skills set and the number of persons that can gravitate to such occupations. The hospitals, for example, gas stations, the various agricultural ministries, and there are number departments, and there are a number of departments of different ministries strewn all over Port of Spain, etc., that can absorb these people at the level of even letter delivery, even, of course, as a driver. We have a plethora of young people who have their license, but of course, no job, and therefore government departments can, of course, look at that as well, apart from the entrepreneurship that will, of course, stay within the community. And once Laventille has addressed its social and economic problems and generate the peace and quiet and tranquility that is required for economic advancement, certainly people will feel more comfortable to enter that area and do business. After all, its proximity to Port of Spain, the main administrative and commercial center of the country, is strategic. The problem is that the social conditions there is not conducive to any kind of self-initiative and the participation of persons outside of the area to come in order, of course, to patronize some of the businesses that would emerge, or the skills sets and the different types of business that would grow in those communities. Simply because of the social condition. Crime and criminal, I have to face that as a fact. And therefore, once we can solve that, or we on the road so to do, certainly we think that the area will be better served and more activities can take place. Of course, it continues education and training. And under education, in this large document, 83 pages, this is just one of 1,000-page of research and, of course, proposals and recommendations and different modules In this one, for example, this one is entitled Laventille Human Development Indicators, Social, Economic, and Cultural Data and Analysis Information. And in it, of course, it talks about the number of property for sale in Laventille, because people were simply moving out because of the social conditions. So we had to do an analysis so that people will understand within and outside of the area that there is a dire need to, of course, bring in capital, bring in human expertise, etc. But I keep saying it is on the community, the social and the quiet and the peace depends. We ourselves in Laventille must decidedly engage in peace and quiet so that the other superstructural matters could now bring to bear, and of course Laventille benefit as well as the country and other parts of the socioeconomic a circumstance similar to Laventille in several geographic spaces across the country. That is how our vision has been and still is. Of course, let me just give you a few of them. It's something like 15 different areas that was considered in this document. It is really a Laventille Human Development Indicators document that deals with the social, economic, and cultural data and analysis information. And of course, the number of property, as I said, the property owners who prefer to sell and leave the area. We did all of that analysis. Reasons for wanting to sell property. We did all of that as well through, of course, a sort of quasi and scientific questionnaire that we would have, of course, circulated in the community to get the kind of response, and zeroing in on persons who would have owned property and or squatted property or have occupied property without, of course, any relevant documentation. But the fact of the matter is that they occupied, and we needed to know from them why you want to leave, why you want to sell it, etc. And of course, it continues the number of professionals residing in the area. Yes, so we know how much police officers, how much lawyers, or how much. There's one fella or two fellas was doing training to be pilots, and nurses, and some of the lower what I consider be professional that reside there. All of that we looked at. And then, of course, we looked at a comparison of views, and on really a fantastic exercise. 1,000 pages we ended up with different modules. This one, of course, is zeroing in on specific areas. So this one, for example, this document here is, of course, a comprehensive project proposal for the Beetham community. Beetham community. And you see the Beetham, of course, interphase competition on every August. We designed that. I designed it, in fact, for the people of Beetham. I designed it, and of course, I was intrinsic in, of course, preparing these documents as well, using my own resource in order, of course, to address the problem on a sustained basis, not Vike, URP, CPEP, and so. No, that is a stepping stone to the wider and the deeper need of the community to, of course, contribute significantly and peacefully to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, in this document dedicated to the Beetham, it simply says, and the people of the Beetham, the deed of ownership for the land that they occupy. You see how deep and how far-reaching. Why we say give them the deed? Just as how we said give and we commended Kamla Persad-Bissessar for offering to the people of Duncan Street and George Street and Nelson Street, offering them the opportunity to own those apartments by telling them to pay $100 for the apartments, and they will get, of course, a lease so that they could say they own something. but they rent for years. Generations come and they rent. They rent small, but nonetheless, they're renting. They don't own it. So we had looked at that matter and agreed with Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and of course, beyond Port of Spain, wherever there is land occupied by residents over a certain period, particularly where it is generational, they should get the land, but they should get it because sometimes it is private land that has been abandoned. There are at least 2 estates that we know of that has been abandoned, but of course the people live on it, but they can't get deed. So we said that let the government to take the initiative to, of course, survey the lands and then, of course, redistribute if necessary, because, you know, you have to cater for road and sewer and of course, garbage collection and pipe and electricity and so on. So where there is a congestion, like on top of the hill, when you come from any part in the east, you can see, and even in the west, you can see Picton. It looks as though it's a mumbo jumbo. I shouldn't say a mumbo jumbo, but of course a hodgepodge of buildings, one on top of the other. Well, we looked at all of that, and of course some people will have to, of course, settle for less. Some people may have to move the house in order to accommodate a corner or a road, all of that. And of course, the only people we know who could, of course, convince the people to be so accommodating and cooperating is people from the area itself. So therefore, a number of institutions that have developed to serve these communities, whether it's the village council, or whether it be the football team, whether it be the cultural group, we got all of them and had interaction, discussions with them, so that they will talk to those persons who reluctantly may have to be removed. But of course, we will compensate them by giving them another piece of land, maybe somewhere close by, preferably, or within the community, so that they will feel much more comfortable, and that level of discourse for advancement will certainly, of course, begin the process of transformation and attitudinal change against, and see, of course, crime and criminality as a thing of the past. Pie in the sky? Well, I will tell anybody, give us the money now. Give us the money and give us the authority, and see if this will not be a reality. But the government must stay out. The PNM must stay out. They have no good wishes or policies or programs for the people of that area. I tell you what, people, what I will do, for those of you who wish to call, I will use the phone. So call my phone, 337-6940. So I won't get it on the computer, but I'll get it here, and I'll put the phone next to the mic. And then, of course, you can make your contribution there. So I'll have you on speaker. All right? Sorry about the caller that called last. I saw your call, but I thought the system was up and running, not realizing that I had inadvertently disconnected it. But of course, my phone, if you call my phone, you will get me. All right? 337-6940. Am I there? Indeed, of course. So we have that. We have, of course, a continuous insect vector pest eradication. You have somebody there? What am I to do? The call? All right, okay. You may have to call another number. Again, confused. Of course, I have my assistant that is very, very concerned. As I said, I inadvertently disconnected the phone by downloading certain information, and apparently I downloaded and deleted, of course, information that I ought not to have deleted. The number to call me at now, you can get me at 365-6493, 365-6493. Call me now, and of course, we will do what we have to do. I'll have to get that matter remedied tomorrow. So my apology. My apology. All right, so that is the situation there with respect to that. So the BTAM, as I said, the BTAM has its specific project. I will, of course, go into details sometime later. And, of course, when Kamla Persad-Bissessar and they start to talk to the community, certainly. Again, we have another document here that is, of course, what? How many pages here this is? Just look like about 50-something pages. And again, it is a biannual report. Every 2 years, we have a crime symposium on the status of crime in Laventille and environs. Yes, the organization that on those occasions is called the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille. So the name suggests what the intent is. Let us go straight to the line and see. Let me just... President, good night. Welcome. Sorry about the phone tonight. Hey.
Don't be sorry. You don't have to be sorry. I mean, you're working hard.
Thank you. Yes.
When I think about them people who refuse our offer, for the $100 to get their house,
Yep.
I tell them myself, well, boy, I can't believe that.
Boy, that's an opportunity and a half, you know, boy. I wish I was one of them. Yeah. I wish I was one of them in them days to get out.
Yeah, people grow up there, all these cinemas all around the place, Strand, Empire.
Yeah.
You know, you're living in town. They scatter them all over the place now.
Yeah.
All in the country.
And the hardship that's attending that, the hardship because they grew up in town. They could hustle. Usually they don't have the skills and so on. There are few of them that has it. So it's sufferation that they have gone to more than if they were in Port-of-Spain.
But you know, it's a privilege to be living in town in them days, boy.
Of course.
Everything at your convenience.
Yeah.
Cinema and all of them, like, they show all this thing.
Yeah.
Look where they go now.
Yeah, boy, all over the place.
Them could follow Jim. Them could follow Jim Jones.
Yeah.
I'm coming to his side.
Yeah, boy.
I'm very sorry for them, but you know, I mean, oh God, boy. What kind of people them is, boy?
Boy.
Look, we go talk about him, boy, the look.
Yes, my friend.
All right, partner.
Yeah, okay then. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so that's what we will do. Call me at 337-6940. Call me at that number, and of course I will take your call here, and then we'll put it to the mic. That's the best we can do tonight. So we had to improvise, and as you know, as Boy Scouts and Girl Guides, we of course always are at the not just the mercy, but we always adapt in order to address a particular circumstance or situation. So tonight is about no phone, but of course you can call me on my normal phone, 337-6940, and I will certainly, of course, as that last caller did. That being as it may, let's get back, of course, to the documentation, because I want to show you it's plenty, a lot. So this one is called, as I said, the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille. This is the organization that hosts this biannual symposium on crime. And I just want to give you, and it's usually for 2 days. And we do it in 2 different venues, one in the community and one outside the community, where we can put together the relevant documentation, recent developments, new developments. In fact, I can tell you that when in 2009, when I was asked to address the National Security Council by under Manning at the time, by, of course, the then Minister of National Security, Martin Joseph. Well, I want to tell you that it was as a result of observed new development. You think home invasion is a recent thing? No. That time, we saw the first trend in that direction in in Never Dirty in Mova, where senior citizens were being dislodged from their homes and young people were taking it over, the miscreants and the criminals. Let's go straight, of course, to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Sorry about that tonight.
Pleasant good. Hey, Lennox, we all over the place tonight. We all over the place. Good night to you.
Yes.
And to everybody on the chat. Lennox, I need to sip some water. Waited so long.
Yeah, go ahead. You take your time. Go take your time. Sorry about that, boy. I did something
Lennox,
today that I wasn't aware of. Go ahead.
I realize that. Lennox, I am so happy that you put up that picture of Mrs. Persad-Bissessar exposing her toes.
Yes.
Let the crayfish post.
Yeah, let them talk. Let them eat the heart out.
Yes, that she has all her digits.
That's right.
Let them see that what the seven-toed Sophia. How much medicine? You see how they're nasty,
yeah, and she dressed all in dark blue.
I want to tell certain individual here tonight.
Yes, go ahead.
I am crass. Yes, I don't care. I have something to say, and I am going to say it. I don't come here with lies. I don't come here and act like if I am part of the National Security Council, that everybody must listen to me. And all who want to cut me, line up. There's a long line waiting to cuss me Santos. Anybody waiting to cuss me, come on. Now, Lennox, I am hearing on the news this morning that inflation has dropped. It has dropped.
Right.
It's the Central Statistical Office, and it's only 5 point something. But Lennox, where are they getting these figures from? Who manipulating these figures? And I said on the voice note this morning on the ground report, when Julian P. Patterson on that platform in Woodford Space said that they are manipulating figures from the Central Statistical Office.
Yes.
He lied on the partnership government. Who manipulated it now, Lennox? Lennox, I'm telling you, I don't know where they are getting those figures from, because we are not seeing it reflected in our grocery bills, in our medical bills, nothing. So I don't know. They're coming now from January with property tax, water rate, and electricity rate, and they talk about inflation down. You may tell you something, they can fool who they want all the time. But they cannot fool the intelligent people out here.
That's right.
And again, who find that I am cross, when I go for my point, I really don't care. It don't interest me, because I know I don't come here with lies. Another point is that Alan Ferguson, something is wrong with him, you know, from the Scrap Iron Dealers Association.
All right.
This man still trying to get an appointment with the Trade Ministry. Are you hearing me, Lennox?
Yeah. You have a tenacity like Rowley. One for hate and another one for stupidity.
Yeah. What? Lennox,
yes.
What meeting does this man want to have again when he crashed the industry already? What meeting? But he want to come out and support us in any match that we had. He's still waiting to talk.
Yes.
That ship sailed a long time. That ship sink. It sank. And before I leave, Lennox, did you hear the amount of money, forex, that Massey is getting for people to study to speak to the dead?
Yeah, I heard that last night
Did you hear that atrocity?
Yeah, I heard that last night.
US dollars.
Wow. Yeah, I heard that last night. I was shocked, and I looked for it today, frankly, but I didn't find it. Send it from me. Send it from me. Send it from me. Yeah.
He talking about, that they're not only studying that, they studied other things. That is not the point. The point is people cannot even get forex for medication for medical services abroad, and only taking 500 to $1 million for communication to speak with the dead. and he is saying, yeah, we are running this country. Well, we are seeing it with the amount of murders.
Yeah.
We are seeing it with the amount of murders.
Yes.
Lennox, that was for tone. Take care, have a good night.
Same to you, same to you. Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. And of course, she made a very salient point, with, of course, to not just the level of unemployment, because she said it has taken a nosedive further, but of course, inflation. And of course, inflation has a very definitive definition. Because, of course, is a situation where you pay more for less. So that's a simple definition for inflation, paying more for less. But what they are attempting to say is that you are not paying that much more for less. You're not paying much more. But let's deal with, of course, the statistical data with respect, of course, to unemployment. It has to be hogwash. Let me tell all of this, and go and check it on Google. It's not the first time I have, of course, responded in this way. But, sometimes I get irritated, I get angry, I get, of course, irascible when, of course, these kinds of issues pop up. And the government is the first, of course, to capitalize and to, of course, blatantly and unashamedly, knowing full well that people are in pain, ache, agony, and they can't see that so-called low unemployment reflected in their daily lives and their inability, of course, to eat or to put 3 square meals on the table. All of that is happening. Christmas is a bleak one for thousands of persons who potentially could work but have lost their work, their jobs coming out of COVID. And of course, the policies and programs of this administration has, of course, emasculated and stymied the opportunity for work. What really happens? But let me tell you this. A person who is not looking for work is not captured, even though they are unemployed, but they ain't looking for work, is captured in this in the statistics. That is the standard way of collecting as well as evaluating the data. So from that term alone, you would understand a large percentage of Trinidad and Tobago stop looking for work. You know what I say? I say a large percentage of Trinidad and Tobago stop looking for work, and that is why you have the statistic. Whilst, of course, you may not, you don't want, of course, to impugn the integrity and the seriousness and the professionalism of those statisticians at the Central Statistical Office. But it is clear that if you get a statistic like that, saying that less people are looking for work now because it has so much work, and then it simply means that a large percentage of the potential labor force, over 600,000 persons that strong our labor force is supposed to be, are not looking for work, and therefore those persons will not be captured in the statistics or by the statistician. That is, and go and Google it and you will see what is entailed with, of course, persons who go out there and evaluate whether employment is on the rise or not. Understand that. With respect to inflation, oh gosh, it's common sense again. If people are not buying, if people cannot buy, and you have the goods on the shelf, and you even reduce the price, but people not buying, you are going to have a skewed statistical result that says that inflation is on the downward trend, is going south. That's all that's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Less people are buying. The goods are on the shelves. They're watching it. You reduce it as a businessman because you don't want to sell at a loss, but you will reduce, of course, your profit margin. It might be at 30%, that's normal, but you may want to reduce it to 5%. So you may want to make a 5 cents maybe on a tin of corned beef as opposed to $2. Yeah. And as a consequence, but still the people are not buying in the way that if, of course, people were getting work and these goods are there to tempt them and is available readily for them, and as the demand increases, then of course the businessman knows to raise his price so that he could maximize on the profitability, and at the same time, if the customer wants to go after that particular product, no problem. No problem. So in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, but that is good political fodder for Rowley and they. So they will totally oblivious to the social and the humanitarian disaster and bellow before they tell us, well, listen, if they are pleasantly or non-pleasantly surprised, but they will take those numbers and say that and pin it to the self and tap the self on the shoulder, and give a round of applause to themselves, and say they're doing well, based on those statistics. Once again, in the case of unemployment, if it is deemed by the researchers and those persons who are taking the raw data out there, people stop looking for work, then that number of persons that is unemployed, but they ain't looking for work, that cadre of individuals are not captured in the statistics because it is not how it is done. That is not the formula. And so you could have a very skewed situation, particularly in this country, but by a government that is hands-on, that is contributing, that is at the epicenter of that devastation that is simmering, and the destruction that may come sudden or over time as a consequence of those numerous and double whammy scenarios. You have senior citizens shoplifting in this country. Senior citizens. It means that they can't get, I have to assume one of the factors is that they can't get their pension, even though they qualify and they have the documents inside. I alone know of 10 and counting. Pay attention to her. I had to write down her Cox. And then I had to write to the officers on the Duke Street office of the pension, the senior citizen pension office, social welfare. And more than that, at that age, people, her children put her out. So at my office, I had to, of course, write a letter telling the authorities that she'd have spent the night in my office. That is real. You know what I say? I had to write a letter saying that she would spend the night in my office and, of course, get a bath and a change of clothing. And then, of course, she will go away on her way so that they could find a place, because one of the criteria is that they must know where you live in and visit your home. So therefore, that arrangement was made by me. I didn't have to do that. It's not my mother. It's not my grandmother. But I did it because I understand the challenge and the difficulty. And then to hear that senior citizens are shoplifting and who in make a jail because they shoplifted. I mean, it is bizarre. And then you have a government that will come and tell you that unemployment is at its lowest and that, of course, inflation is at its lowest. Man, all of these fellas that need to be, of course, taken up, put in a pirogue, as I've said before. And, of course, they'll put a chain block connected to a chain around their respective necks and then sail them into the Gulf of Paria, and just imagine what the difference will be, or the outcome will be. It is ridiculous. They are so damn dishonest. They're so damn deceitful. They're so damn deceiving that it gets you angry and angry and angry and angry on a daily basis, and they don't mind. They will bring more things on top of those things that you're already angry about to get you more angry. Otherwise, of course, and all they are concerned about is saving their backsides from a jail. That's all that is about. And one may say that they have a right to so to do, but let me tell you something. When their deeds catch up with them, in terms of police investigations and, of course, time for court and making a jail, I hope none of they feel sorry for them, Because they ain't feel sorry for us. It's every day they're finding something, of course, to hoodwink and deceive. So don't forget, of course, the bottom line with that, the possibility of early elections before 2025 is really possible. And I'll tell you why. You see, for Rowley alone, he will go until 2025 for sure. But clearly, anybody with a modicum of common sense would know that there are people within the PNM who still wield some clout and don't like where the PNM is going or has gone. You have to look at Balize House alone and know that that is the epitome, that is an amalgam of corruption and nepotism and cronyism, kickback, and, of course, criminal behavior. And we simply have to just not cherry pick, but lay it on the table, as I've said, only for the elections gone. Local government. Rowley stood up in Constantine Park and said that they're saying that, of course, we corruptly is constructing Balize House. And I could tell you, Rowley saying that not a single contractor was used to construct or to participate in that construction. And I showed you where Jusamco was pouring concrete, they block off the northern, the street that borders the northern side of Balize House. And pouring concrete, not on the superstructure, not because the steel went up, but on the foundation. So if they are pouring concrete on the foundation and it reached, of course, the fifth floor, what do you think? What do you think? Use your analytic skills and, of course, your common sense. And you will know. The point I am making here is that Rowley calling an election will be because of several elements that are within the PNM that still have some kind of influence, are saying to Rowley, you're taking us down a gum tree. You're taking us to hell rapidly. You're looking to destroy the party. My grandchildren, in other words, and others will not be able to benefit from from whatever benefits that the PNM would have brought sometime in the past, because you are driving the party to extinction. Extinction, just as those sycophants and those persons who are apologists and so on, they are driving themselves to extinction. Rowley is simply ruthless, brutal, and is a criminal. And of course, what else you expect from a rapist and a pedophile? Rowley, that is. Rapist and a pedophile. You know, I must say that every night. For those persons who still believe that somehow you'll get a reprieve. No reprieve here. The facts are the facts. The man is a rapist and a pedophile, and a rank and unadulterated, greedy son of a bitch. Greedy son of a bitch. And necessitates, at the appropriate time, criminal and civil investigation to get rid of that son of a bitch. Understand that? And so people, of course, as I said, you could call me on my phone. I will answer the phone. And of course, we will have to improvise tonight until I get, of course, that app working again. I wasn't aware that I had dislodged it from the system. Then I was taking down some pictures because my WhatsApp was filled, and other parts of the operation of the phone was, of course, over storage, and I had to get rid of some of the information. In doing so, as I said, I must have, of course, dislodged this, interfered with the system to such a degree that you are not able to, of course, call in tonight. Nonetheless, that being as it may. That was important, of course, to treat with that. And let me quickly, of course, go through. Oh, it is already 13 minutes past and we started on time. So let me just go through the other books that we will, of course, be documents that we'll be sharing with you in due course. This one, of course, Laventille for Laventillian, of course, the main document, of course, this one, the piece of Tobago, this getting a piece of Trinidad and Tobago. This, of course, is merely the cost involved. I think it is something in the vicinity. I don't want to guess, but I think it's a substantial amount of money. I think maybe close to $1 billion to solve the problem of that area, and of course solve the problem of the country as a consequence. Remember, as I said before, social and psychological capital is the investment a society, meaning the government and all the other stakeholders, make in order to generate peace, security, productivity, advancement, and national development. That is why you have to spend that kind of investment. It can't be no piecemeal, mama guy, helter-skelter, higgledy-piggledy. It has to be coordinated and it has to be with a strategic objective, one objective. And in our case, as we said in this document, for example, possibility, what's called, this one is possibility Nelson Street. This is a document specific for Nelson Street and environs. And you would have seen, of course, on the front page, we will show it to you, where the 21 fellas that were held during the state of emergency. And me and Pandey, I brought Pandey on Nelson Street. So you see, I'm not talking by accident or guess. And of course, we had this discussion here. This picture was taken in the community center, the George Street Community Center, where a number of initiatives were identified for, of course, addressing. And Warner, at the time, he was, of course, I think, Minister of National Security, but at one time Minister of Works. And we were able, of course, to liaise with him directly in order to treat with some of these issues. And three of which is 3 basketball courts that was, of course, refurbished with the intention, of course, to setting up, of course, that aspect of the community, generate competition, so that I'm ashamed that that part of Nelson Street that is above Duke Street, if you know the area, Laventille. And so, of course, a number of initiatives we identified, of course, sporting and culture. Notice that, of course, social interventions. We had, of course, the churches, groups, institutions. We have, of course, to bring all the bring all shakers and movers on board. Community community personalities, taxi shops, pan leaders, etc. Pan leaders, etc. Notice pan. Of course, here we are talking about despots. We are talking about, of course, we are talking about all-stars. We are talking about renegades. We are talking about all the solo. We are talking about, of course, Caribbean. We could go on and on. Let's take this call. Maybe this might be the fortunate one. Just answer. It's Tobago.
Yeah, calling from Tobago, you say.
Yes, go ahead, Tobago.
Something that I'm really find strange, you know, is that the last time government pensions are speaking, I'm not talking about old age pensions, I'm talking about people retire like monthly paid workers, right?
Yes, yes.
From the government. Last time them get a raise in pension that was under the Kamla Persad-Bissessar government, right?
Yes.
But in some cases there are pensioners who getting even less than what old age pension will get. Right? I'm talking about a monthly paid worker, I'm not talking about daily paid worker.
Okay.
And you see, the government going ahead now raising all kind of bills, bringing more bills on these people. Right? I'm talking like that because I happen to be a government pensioner too, right?
Okay.
But I'm not talking like my thing, but I'm talking about other people who is less fortunate than me.
Okay.
And have to collect little small money. And if not for the NIS also, they might be able to make out, right? And Rowley and them raise the salary so much at times. These government ministers, they raise the salary so much at times. And they're not even thinking to say, well, listen, these government pensioners serve the government for so much years. I'm talking about policemen and all like that.
Yeah.
And the kind of pension they collect is next to nothing. And they have to be paying bill, water rate going up, TNT bill going up, and these people are to live. So why it is that now with all the back pay they're paying out now, these people have nothing to gain from that. So why you don't raise their pension so that they could they could able to pay their bills and live a little more reasonable? Because you're talking about Rowley and them salary double the normal man's double and triple and quadruple the normal person who working outside of there.
Yeah.
And they are tax free. So why they don't have a heart to see that these government pensioners able to carry out something worthwhile when the month reach? Why they not thinking that way? Why this is only about taxing people until they die? You taxing a man who could barely see out the eye. He could never know that money saving in bank because he had to be paying a lot of bills, food prices up, everything up.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, whatever he can live good, he can't save nothing. You see? So I don't understand this PNM government really is not for the small people at all, you know.
You're sure right.
They're not for anybody at all. Even the people that are voting for them doesn't understand that they've been bull from head to top to toe.
Yeah. Totally hoodwinked. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't really care. And kids are fella, to me, like he don't have a heart at all, you know.
Nah, he doesn't have no. He's heartless. Yeah. He sees people are copies of these documents to show that it exists. It exists, Rowley. And let me tell all you this before I go. I sent in one binder that 1,000-page document that his predecessor, Manning, and the former deceased, of course, Minister of National Security, Martin Joseph, received. Talk. And as I said, all of them in a room and are tackling all of them at the same time, throw questions at me, and none of them could stand the acid test. People, we have come to the end. Of course, it's 24 minutes past 10 o'clock already. Don't forget, of course, that tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself. And as we continue, of course, I'm a bit tired tonight, so I'll go and take a 5. And, of course, I have to make sure that phone is up and working tomorrow. So I'll see you then, and have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.
cause you didn't want nobody to see. Oh la la la, oh la la la, oh la la la, mamacita. I catch you cooking paratha for Santa. You pull out your pira and you make Santa bite. You feed him some hot, hot paratha. Oh la la la, oh la la la, oh la la la, mamacita. I catch you cooking paratha for Santa. So hurry, mama, bring out some more curry, cause it's Christmas time in this country. Fire in the chula get hot. With the cinder, she pushing it up. The fire was hot, 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 and the curry was boiling in the pot. We bite by Mama Sita. We bite for Mama Paratha. Oh la la la, oh la la la, oh la la la, Mama Sita. I get you cooking paratha for Santa. You pull out your curry and you give him in a hurry, cause you didn't want nobody to see. Oh la la la, oh la la la, oh la la la, mamacita. I get you cooking paratha for Santa. You pull out your pira and you make Santa bite. You feed him some hot, hot paratha. Oh la la la, oh la la la, oh la la la, mamacita. I get you cooking paratha for Santa. So hurry, mama, bring on some more curry, cause it's Christmas time in this country.
Yeah, man.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. I never see a parang sight, so going house to house by people that they know. I joined the band in front by Sharon, and when I reached the door, we started singing this one. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
I joined the band not just for Christmas cheer. I hear it a plenty Spanish woman living down here. I looking for wife, me and no shame. So I'm moving with the band, playing the game. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
Well, I reach and I'm feeling great. Oh yeah, yeah. What a feast. I full up a plate. Oh yeah, yeah. I go sing some parang. Oh yeah, yeah. And I bring the yang.
Yeah, man.
Merry, Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry, Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Every year, I just make me barrel of rum. But this year, I decide that I am making none. A parang in hand with no liquor. And every house I hit, I'm drinking out the chaser. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
These fellas pass by me and they tip everything. but I ain't get harassed, cause I love me parangin. I decide to fall in and join the session. This one no need telling me how he loves Spanish woman. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
I joined the band cause I'm afraid for people to come by me. Cause I ain't clean up yet, I don't want nobody to see. My rooms are paint up, my curtains air wash. So I'm going house to house, looking for my paintbrush. Yeah man, Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.